Hey, everybody, it's Julie Roginski. Happy Saturdays for Sanity. I am here with my friend Jeff Jarvis. Michelle is
I'm
out.
sorry, I'm not Michelle Kitty.
It's okay. You're just as good. We love having you here.
No,
I don't know about just as good. Michelle is irreplaceable.
no, impossible.
Impossible to be as good as Michelle, but she's awesome and she's not here today. And you are just as awesome and you're also here today. So thank you for joining us. Happy Saturday, everybody. Jeff, you've never done this show. So this show is called Saturdays for Sanity for a reason. Because Michelle and I do 5 shows a week that are not sane in the sense that we talk about all this crazy bullshit that happens every day with Trump and just life. And Saturday's kind of a chill out time to just talk about stuff. So I have a crazy story that happened to me after we did the show yesterday. After we did our show yesterday, I decided I didn't decide. I went to walk my dog around 3 o'clock, 3:30, and I'm walking outside of my Upper West Side block, which is, as you know, a very safe part of New York. And I'm literally on my block and my phone is in my pocket and I bend down to pick up after my dog. And then I walk back to my apartment. All of a sudden, I'm like, didn't I bring my phone with me? What happened to my phone? I thought I brought it with me. Did I not bring it with me? So I run upstairs to my apartment. And I take my son's phone because he can track me on, the whole Find My feature. And I see that my phone is a few blocks away from my apartment. And I was like, well, that's weird. So I start racing to find this person who has my phone with my son's phone. And all of a sudden I see him obviously on the subway because it keeps coming in and out. I was mugged. But the problem with being mugged with my phone is I'm one of those people that keeps all her credit cards in her phone in the little. So I am phoneless, moneyless. My debit card, my credit card, my phone. I can't open my car without my phone. So that's the problem. I am.
Oh, no.
I know. So I went to my bank. And I tried to get a debit card to just have a temporary debit card before they ship me the new one. They don't do that anymore. They don't give you, you could do it on your phone as a digital wallet thing, but I don't have a phone. So as I'm sitting there trying to figure this out at my bank, my phone rings, my son's phone rings because I called my phone so often from my son's phone to just try to get somebody to pick up. And it's this woman and she only speaks Spanish. And she's talking to me. And I said, I'm so sorry, I don't speak Spanish. And she said, I don't speak English. Luckily, the guy Bank of America, where I was, spoke Spanish. So he got on the phone with her and she had found my phone on the subway. And she was like, come to the Fordham. Now, at this point, it's getting dark. Come to the Fordham subway stop and I'll meet you there and I'll give you your phone. And I'm like, Fordham in the Bronx is really far. So first of all, I'm trying to offer her money to come to Manhattan. She's like, no days. So then I get a call from the cops because she had walked into the precinct in the Bronx very nicely and left it there. And then the cops are like questioning me like I'm the criminal. And they're like, how did you lose this phone? What did you do? And they went through my credit cards. There's a credit card here, not in your name. Why do you have that credit card?
Jesus.
And I'm like, am I?
And are you an American citizen while we're at it?
Yeah, I'm like, do I need to bring? They told me to bring my passport to pick up my phone. Because that's the only evidence I have that I'm me. But they're like questioning me. They're like, they keep calling me like repeatedly to question me about why I have like what's in my phone and who are these people and why do I have a credit card not in my name, which is a credit card that belongs to my nonprofit partner, which I had gotten and was supposed to hand to her because we share this bank account. And they're like, well, we can't give you that credit card back because it's not in your name. I'm like, I'm the victim here. What is going on? So now I have to deal with the NYPD. And so as soon as the show's over, I have to figure out how to get to Fordham.
You're still going to Fordham?
I'm going to go to Fordham.
I don't understand one thing. So at some point, did she say, I'm not going to wait for you, I'll take it to the police? Or did she?
No. I basically said to her through this guy at the bank, can you please give it to the MTA, the Metropolitan, people don't know New York, the Metropolitan Transit Authority, is there a booth? And she said, yes. I said, can you please give it to that person? Because I was not going to go to the Bronx in the dark. I didn't even know if this was for real. Like, I don't want to show up at some random subway station in the dark and God knows what happened. She was nice enough not to do that. She was nice enough to walk it across the street, I guess across the street. I don't know, somewhere to the precinct. And she did not speak English. So I'm wondering, I mean, I don't know if she was here legally. I don't know if she was taking a risk for herself to even go to the police station, which is so incredibly nice of her to do. I mean, beyond generous. And if I find out,
you know whether any of your cards were used?
I've locked them immediately. So I think the problem is that I locked my phone and wiped my phone immediately. So my phone is not usable and my cards were locked immediately. So this guy, there's some cash in and I'm sure the cash is gone, but you know, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. It's like, you know, the cards don't, I have to get all new cards anyway, but yeah, that was my adventure yesterday.
Wow. So how does it work these days when you lock and wipe your phone? You can unwipe it, yes?
I think so. I think so. I have to ask a 13-year-old in my household what to do. These are questions not directed at me. But you know, it's just a crazy, crazy, crazy story. And I'm phoneless, I'm cashless, I'm cardless. I'm feeling very...
You don't exist, Julie.
I don't exist. Oh, I have a passport. So if ICE wants to come for me, I do have a passport.
But you weren't born here, so I'm not so sure about you.
Much like Melania and Ivana, I was not born here. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Much like them, I have my anchor baby, right? So I know. So it's crazy. It's weird. It's a very weird feeling not to have a phone. And it's actually
I can't imagine.
Very peaceful not to have a phone that you have to look at all the time. It's not a bad exercise and just...
No, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
I see all these stories. The Guardian, I love the Guardian, but the Guardian, it gets weird about this. They go through digital veganism of you know, how to give up your phone, how to become more sane. No. This is part of me now. It's okay. It's all right.
I don't want to be more sane. Like I'm kind of happy.
I don't either.
I'm kind of happy being stressed out about life all the time.
Yeah.
Like that constant, do you remember life before 20? I'm not even joking. Do you remember life before 2015 when like you could ignore the president for a while and not think about him? And even during the interregnum in the 4 years of Biden, there were times when I did not think about Joe Biden. There were a few days that would go by where I didn't think about Joe Biden.
As one should. Well, that's not the center of life. Politics is never the center of life.
I know. And now I start writing my Substack in the morning, and by like 2 p.m. for the next day, and then by 2 p.m. it's like it's moot because something else has happened. Yeah. So now I'm forced to stay up all night writing as close to publication time as possible because everything happens in those preceding 12 hours where it's not possible. I know. It's very disconcerting and it's very kind of stressful, but you know, this is the life that we've chosen. There are people who don't pay attention. I think there are people who just live. Like I always think about that. You're pretty lucky if you just don't care about the stuff. Like you just live your life.
Yeah, I mean, I've known people like that, and I think it's actually pretty sad. I think that there's a few cases. One is they have concerns that are so big that it dwarfs the world.
Yeah.
Fine. But the other is just that they're bored and boring. That they're not related to the world. You know, it does. I always bring everything back to media because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And Neil Postman and James Carey were both very eloquent on how the telegraph changed society.
Right.
That news became irrelevant. And I can't do anything about the storm 1,000 miles away. Why is it being reported to me? I can't do anything about the Kaiser. Why is that being reported to me? Because we can now, because we have the telegraph, because we can give you news from all over. We can give you this alleged human interest. And it took out the agency from news. The news before that was things that I could have an impact on in my community.
I never thought about that. That's fascinating.
Right? It is. It really is. And it also I've got great quotes I could pull out. Carrie also talks about, of course, how the telegraph took away the personal and the now that's what I want. Coffee was just delivered. Of course, I actually it's what I'm getting every day now. So for those of your fans who don't know, I'm infirm, having crushed a vertebrae, and I'm up in my airy up here, not at my usual podcast station with better sound. And my wife is serving me in all kinds of magnificent and wonderful ways, everything that you can imagine. I would be lost without her. So yes, I get coffee and more constantly.
Yeah, my wonderful husband just delivered some tea in a mug that I've never seen before, but which is kind of my dream here.
So Carrie also talks about how it took away local language and expression. Right, America became homogenized at that point because the telegraph and the wire service wanted to make us all sound the same.
Right.
And so right, what was news when you were really in a community? It was a very different definition. It was the things that mattered to you locally. It was the gossip that mattered to you locally. It was the things you could have an impact on. And in a sense, news makes us powerless because it gives us so much that we can do nothing about.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, it's fascinating because to me, the news is kind of like a ripple, right? Like, how does a tsunami in Japan affect us here? Well, eventually it makes its way over here and people might die, right? If it's a powerful enough tsunami. I was in Seattle last year and I get to my hotel room and I'm very tired. It's an all day, I had to be at a conference. It's an all day event. And I get in bed. It's like 11 o'clock after I had to go to dinner. Like it was a whole situation. And, you know, when you're traveling all day and then you have to go straight into meetings and you have to go straight into a dinner, all you want to do is crawl into your hotel room and just go to bed. So it's 11 o'clock Pacific, which of course is 2 a.m. here, according to my body clock. And I turn on CNN or I look at my phone, which I no longer can do today. And, and I see there's a tsunami headed for us.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, you must be fucking kidding me. Literally, I'm in my hotel room. And because remember that tsunami that was, I think it was in August or July. I forgot when it was, sometime last summer. There's a big tsunami that was headed for Hawaii. And they're like, oh, yeah, it might be coming to Seattle. I'm like, you know what? Tsunami, just take me away. Like, I don't care.
Just do it.
But the point of
what floor were you on?
I think I was on a pretty high floor and I was also kind of in a high. I wasn't right by the water and it wasn't coming. Apparently, it never reached.
No.
It never actually did damage, but anyway, I think Seattle's protected. I think it's some town right next to Seattle that's more exposed. I don't know. Anyway, so the point is, of course, these things affect us, and the news is kind of like that, right? If a tsunami happens in Japan, it's newsworthy because it might happen here. If the Kaiser decides to give a blank check to the Serbs in 1914, eventually it affects us here. Eventually we go to war as well. And I think it's not just the telegraph, it's how the telegraph made everything worldwide, made everything international.
Yes. Yeah. But you know, that was happening before. So my new book that's coming out in June called Hot Type is a cultural history of the linotype, which made mass media possible, right? And Mark Twain is a major character in the stories because he invested in and went bankrupt from investing in a competitor to the linotype. The linotype sent a type of line at a time instead of a letter at a time.
Right.
And so looking at that, I read the Hannibal paper that Mark Twain's brother bought and that he set type on. And it was a dreadful, dreary little blat filled with crap. And so it just all they could do is just fill space.
Yeah.
So they would say that there was a snowstorm in St. Louis, 200 miles away, a week ago. And that was before the telegraph rule. It was just when we got the copy of the paper, we tore that out, we reset it and typed, we filled the space. So it wasn't as if the telegraph was entirely new in that sense. But
it's called the linotype, Jeff? The linotype?
The linotype.
Linotype.
So before this, from Gutenberg through the late 1800s, type was set one letter at a time. All type in every language around the world had to be set one letter at a time.
Wow.
And that was obviously slow and laborious and difficult. And not only did you have to set it, you had to space out the lines, justify them.
Right.
And it was a specialized task, which Mark Twain learned to do as a child.
I didn't know that.
And
Okay.
he wanted out of school, and his mother finally let him become a printer's devil.
And this was, sorry, this was in the early 19th century. When was this?
This was from 1450 up until the late 1800s.
Oh, okay.
All that time, it hadn't changed.
Okay.
Printing was slow. The maximum, I mentioned this on our other show,
Yeah.
the maximum circulation of a daily newspaper was about 4,000, because that's as often as you could pull the press.
Okay.
Human muscle, right?
Right.
And as slow as you could set the type. Newspapers were 4 pages because that's all you could set the type for, and so on and so on, right? So then comes a process called stereotyping, which lets you copy pages, and that changes things. And then comes the steam-powered press, which obviously speeds things up immensely in the rotary press.
Right.
And so media were ready to explode, but they were held back by the typesetter, setting one letter at a time. So the telegraph news would come in, and you couldn't keep up with it. There was only so much type you could set because you had 100 typesetters in a composing room working at these cases, setting type one letter at a time. So the Linotype comes along, and it's an ingenious machine that set type instead a line at a time from a keyboard. And that changed things immensely. And that's what opened the door to mass media. So that's what the book's about.
Interesting.
But thank you for that plug. Hot Type out in June. Pre-orders available now.
Wait. Well, I don't know if I know how to do this. I'll put this as a. All right. You can pre-order it on Amazon now?
If you go, yes, you can. You can go to jeffjarvis.com.
Okay.
And there you will see the lovely cover that they designed at Bloomsbury.
I would love to create a banner here, but I don't know how. So we're going to have to wait.
Yeah, we need Michelle for everything. Yes.
Michelle for everything. We are
so anyway, so media the media we know now were not the media that existed 150 years ago at all. It's not a forever thing. And they're being reinvented now in ways that we can't yet imagine. But the idea that we've got to hold on to things and fix them is wrong. We can reinvent them.
Well, and now, of course, I don't read the New York Times physically anymore. I know a lot of people do, but do you?
Physically, no. Haven't in years.
Yeah.
Have not in years. The weird thing for me, Michelle, is that I started a magazine, Entertainment Weekly. I loved magazines. I worked for Condé Nast. I used to go to Hudson News, and they'd double bag me, and I would come back with piles of magazines, and I would fondle them like a pirate's booty, right? just amazed at the look and the feel and the voice and all that. Right. I haven't bought a magazine in years.
Years.
Oh. In fact, try to find one in Manhattan. If you go around, the newsstands that were built in Manhattan, for those of you who aren't there, are ridiculous because they are newsstands, but they are not built to display news. The newspapers are on a shelf hidden, so you don't see the headlines. You don't see the tabloid. The magazines used to be up in the back, but now all they sell is water and vaping stuff and things.
I know.
And
the only place you could really get it is like Barnes & Noble. If you want to go to like Barnes & Noble and sit and look, and those are few and far between too. Did you work with Anna Wintour when you were at Condé Nast?
I've met her a couple of times, but she was way apart from me.
Was she everything that everybody says she is? I've never met her, actually.
Yeah. She's absolutely a forbidding presence. Brilliant as a magazine person, absolutely, no question about that. And the stories are all true. She had, my favorite is that she had the most uncomfortable possible chairs across from her desk, so that she wouldn't stay long. So I was there when we started Condé Net, which is the online division. Brilliant people named Rochelle Udell and Joan Feeney started Epicurious and Style.com and other things. And we had to get the approval of Anna to be able to do what we did. And she gave it. And she was forward looking enough to figure all that out. So yeah, Condé is a weird place. It's, you go into the elevator and you're walking a fashion gauntlet. Right? I really feel for the women who work there because they are getting judged constantly. The fabled cafeteria when the company was at 4 Times Square, the Frank Gehry cafeteria, was you just go there to watch everybody, to look and see who's sitting with whom and who's size sitting with this week and so on. It's a little society all unto itself.
That's really interesting because I've always wondered where these, I mean, if you watched or read The Devil Wears Prada and you um just know a little bit about this, especially if you live in New York, of course, you know people who work at Condé or just have been around Condé. I've never understood where these women who are young and paid peanuts got the money to deck themselves out in, you know, Chanel or Versace, whatever they had to wear every day.
I think they were judged on the cleverness of their ability to make it work. They would save up for that one item that people would know what it is,
Right.
right? The shoes or the purse. There was, there were the rooms where I think occasionally you were allowed to take an item, and there were sample sales. This is how I got. So I've been a schlub my whole life, um, and for protective coloration, I would go to the Barney's warehouse sale.
Yeah, everybody used to remember how great those were. Those were
They were
fantastic.
great, and
Yep.
I'd get a Versace suit, and at a decent price, and that was my uniform to go into Conde. But the sample sales were amazing. There were a lot of tricks about how people did it. Yeah, you were paid absolute crap. You were abused. You had to go off and you
Yeah.
really did go off and get coffee and salads and oh no, you don't do Starbucks. How dare you have gone to Starbucks? You have to go to this special place. You have to do it
Right,
this
right.
special way, right? And it's all ludicrous. Um, it's a house that hype built. The whole thing is hype. What's fascinating now is how meaningless it is.
It's crazy. Anna Wintour, you know, I think what you see, and I'm fashion is not my thing, but it strikes me that what you see right now is influencers and TikTok, these young kids and TikTok who are deciding what's fashionable,
Yes.
what's cool. And she, I don't know that she just, I mean, her big thing is obviously the Met Gala, but even that is like she's trying to invite all these people who are influencers. Like the minute the Kardashians started showing up, you kind of understood that this was all designed as an influencer dynamic now and not about people who actually knew stuff, I
And this
think.
is where you two talk about culture, and I think that's the most important thing is that now fashion defines itself.
Yep.
Culture defines itself. It is no longer defined from top down. Whether that is fashion or whether that is just taste in general or entertainment. We entertain ourselves now. We don't depend upon Hollywood to entertain us. Um, and some of it's crap, of course. Always has been, always will be. There's more chaff, but there's also more wheat, and there's more ability for voices to be heard who could not have been heard before, who are always there.
Well,
There's a former, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Sorry, there's a former.
There's a former chief economist at Spotify, whose name I'm forgetting, who's written about this. That when music was the first sector of culture that was hit by the internet, as we all know, and the number of genres and the number of artists who are now available in music has expanded exponentially from what was possible before. Are they all making money? No. Do they always make money? No. But there's a much greater choice and much more voice that's possible, and that's true. I think everything up to making a movie, storytelling, journalism, and so on. There are things that you can do now that are amazing that just weren't possible before with top-down scaled media.
Yeah, what's interesting to me is, and like the Kardashians are really, sociologically, I think, kind of an interesting phenomenon, right? Because here you have a very ambitious woman in Kris Kardashian or Kris Jenner, who was just the wife of first a rich lawyer who was celebrity. She was always celebrity adjacent, right? Like she was friends with all the celebrities. Yourself was not a celebrity. And she had money, but she wasn't necessarily, you know, nobody knew who she was other than friends with Nicole Brown Simpson. And all of a sudden, you have her taking her daughters and really commoditizing them. And without them actually having anything to commoditize other than their looks. And suddenly they become truly the biggest celebrities in the world. I mean, Kim Kardashian has got to be one of the top 5 most famous women in the world. And I put her up there with somebody like a Kate Middleton, who is royalty, right? in the sense that everybody knows who she is. She can go to Australia, people know who she is. She can go to Japan and people know who she is. And certainly in the United States and all over Europe, people know who she is. And she spends a lot of time in Europe, I think, making sure that people there know who she is, fashion weeks and so on. And to me, the day that she finally got on the cover of Vogue, and when she was finally invited because of her marriage to Kanye West, who actually does have talent, whatever else you may think about him, you know, he didn't just wake up and decide to be Kanye West. He actually had something to put behind it. Is the day that I think Anna Wintour kind of, I don't know if gave up is the word, but ceded her authority to a very different model of who is a tastemaker now, right? Suddenly, Kim Kardashian's plastic surgery was very in vogue. People wanted her butt, people wanted her face, people wanted her nose, whatever her breasts, whatever else, you know, she's purchased for herself. And she became the tastemaker, and people like her became tastemakers of what's happening now, and not somebody like an Anna Wintour, who, again, can like her, dislike her as a person, really worked her way up to being the arbiter of taste for many decades. And so I don't know what your thoughts about that are, but that's really when I think things changed drastically. It's kind of when we went from the linotype to, you know, to the telegram or to even, you know, the printing press as we know it now.
So I won't go back that far, but I will go back earlier. I was the first TV critic at People magazine. And my boss and mentor named Pat Ryan was the editor of the magazine. I remember one day she looked down the hall and she would get the cover reports, what's sold on the cover.
Right.
And it used to be pretty easy. If Dallas was big, you put a Dallas cover on, it sells. If this movie is big, you put the movie on the cover, it sells. That was pretty much it. And one day, Pat got her report, and she saw me down the hall, and she blamed me for television. And she screamed down the hall, "TV's dead, Jarvis, it's dead." I don't know if there was Dallas or Dynasty, but whatever cover she had put
Dallas.
on.
And I love Dallas and Dynasty. Are you
but
kidding?
It didn't sell. It suddenly didn't sell. And what was happening? We had choice. We had the VCR, and we had cable, and we had the mechanisms to start to take over our little bit of scheduling culture. And so People switched from the event in the star's career to the event in their star's life, or I called it bodily fluids journalism.
Interesting.
It was about birth and love and disease and death and crime and so on. And so that's when I saw an opportunity to take over helping people decide what to watch. And that's when I came up with the idea for Entertainment Weekly magazine, because there was that shift. But the other shift that occurred at the same time then was that People was the gatekeeper to an audience. You had a movie, you wanted to be on People's cover to get your audience. Well, now that wasn't so much the case. Now the stars and their agents, their flacks, realized that they were the power. Celebrity was the power.
Yep.
And so their power shifted from the editor of People magazine to the press agent, who said, "Okay, I'll give you my star for the cover. I'll give you my one from column A, but you got to take 2 from column B and 3 from column C.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or you've got to give me a reporter approval or quote approval or cover guarantee." They were in power because celebrity became the key then. And for a place like People, which was built on celebrity, there was no hope. They had to bow down to the power of Hollywood for that time. Still, though, celebrity was a limited commodity. It was a scarce commodity, right? And then again, as entertainment expands with more cable and VCRs and such, and then along comes the internet, celebrity is no longer a scarcity. Finally, Andy Warhol's right. Everybody's famous for 15 minutes. And this notion of the influencer, which I always thought was specious, takes over not just our sense of culture and market, but also marketing as well. And so there's a continuum, I think, from that technological change up through the Kardashians, up through the internet.
Well, that's fascinating, because I think what you're talking about now is that celebrity controls everything, right? And you have and I have a 13-year-old, and for a while there, when he was in 4th or 5th grade, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a YouTube star. I mean, they see people like Mr. Beast, who I did not even know existed, but until I was forced to know who he existed, who's just some guy on the internet. I'm not quite sure what his appeal is, but he definitely appeals to, a subset of the preteen mind. And this guy's making, he's probably close to a billionaire right now. And again, it's kind of insane. And so that never used to be the case. And I wonder what you think about my theory, which is that Donald Trump would not have been president ever had we not created this ecosystem in the early 2000s with Survivor, right? You want to blame somebody for Donald Trump, I would blame Mark Burnett first and foremost.
Absolutely. In fact, I think what Donald Trump, our only hope is that Donald Trump is the apotheosis of celebrity. He is the final dead end of it.
I don't know.
That's when it goes so far as to become president of the friggin' United States. And I don't think that, but television does. You couldn't create a Donald Trump today.
Why?
Because network television the audience is geriatric, it's dying, it's dead. That level of scale, that presumption of mass, is over. It's gone. And so you can create a 1,000 more celebrities. Not everybody knew who Donald Trump was. Everybody knew who Vanna White was. Not everybody knows who Mr. Beast is.
Yeah,
Mr. Beast is big enough to make a fortune. Not everybody knows who Julie Roginski is, but Julie Roginski is now big enough to support her work because of the internet, right?
Right.
You too are a celebrity and an influencer and famous, but at a different scale that is now manageable, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that trying to create a Trump would be difficult, maybe impossible, and that in a sense, he was the perhaps necessary end game of the celebrity era.
Yeah, I wonder, and Michelle is in the chat. Hello, Michelle. We miss you.
Hello, Michelle. Where are you?
Michelle is a little under the weather today, but she's in the chat. So we miss her and we love her. There's a question here. Have I ever been to the Met Gala? And if not, given the opportunity, would you go? Why or why not? I have never been invited to the Met Gala. That is not my circle that I've ever hung out in. I have been to galas at the Met, but not the Met Gala. Would I go if I were invited? I guess for the opportunity, right? Just to say that I've gone. I probably would have to mortgage my house to be able to afford something creative to wear, but and find somebody to hook me up with it, because that's just not I'm wearing a J. Crew sweater right now. So just to show you what I think about all this stuff. I guess I go. Would you go, Jeff, if somebody invited you?
I would find it torture.
I would find it torture. I think I'd go and then I'd leave. I don't think I'd stay for the whole thing. I might do the red carpet and then go.
I mean, I'm necessarily social. I have to be social because of what I do. Yeah. My wife doesn't like all that. I think she would find it to be absolute torture to go. And once there, trying to keep up the conversations with people in that atmosphere. And the other problem is I'm not great at faces and names.
Me neither. Really
and so I wouldn't know who I'm talking to. And that person is famous. You could be meeting somebody who everybody says, oh my God, you're talking to so-and-so. I wouldn't know. And I'd embarrass myself.
I will say this. I have done a red carpet a few times. So the craziest red carpet I ever did was out in Hollywood, out in LA. And just to put in context, and I have to be careful about what I say here because I do have an NDA. So I think people in the chat know I was one of the women who sued Roger Ailes at Fox News for sexual harassment. There was a movie made about us called Bombshell that starred Charlize Theron, and Nicole Kidman played my friend Gretchen Carlson, and so on. I think John Lithgow played Roger Ailes. And so I'm just putting this in context as to how I ended up in this red carpet, which is a really weird story. There's a woman named Anna O'Reilly who played me. I had never spoken to her. I could not speak to her because of my NDA. I could never. It's very strange to have somebody play you, although I was a fairly minor character in this movie, and not even have the opportunity to talk to them
Well,
about.
that is weird. I didn't realize that angle to it.
It's also a little weird to be played by a tall Irish redhead, but that's a whole different thing. Nobody asked me about casting. She was lovely as Julie Roginski. Not particularly accurate, but that's not her fault. So what's weird about that movie is I can't tell you whether that movie was accurate or not because I have an NDA.
Wow.
I can't really comment on any of that. So, and I can't comment on the way I was portrayed in that movie and tell you whether that was accurate or not, or whether anything that took place with my character, with the Julie Roginski character in that movie, had anything to do with the real Julie Roginski. Like, very, very strange. But what happened was, by sheer coincidence, and I mean really sheer coincidence, Gretchen Carlson, who was obviously a major character in this movie and was played by Nicole Kidman, and I launched our nonprofit Lift Our Voices, which we still have, in December of 2019, on the very same day, and the very same weekend that movie premiered, by complete sheer coincidence. And we had the opportunity to effectively launch it at the Hollywood Reporter Women in Entertainment Breakfast, which is a big, which you would know, right? It's a very kind of star-studded celebrity breakfast that the industry in Hollywood does. This is so outside my wheelhouse. Like Hollywood and I just don't care, don't know, not my, I'm a politics, just just don't care, right? I like to read gossip, as much as the next person, but it's not something I really necessarily ever wanted to be in. So we go out to LA to go to this breakfast, and all these stylists are hooking up all these women with what they're wearing. I'm like, I don't know. I went to Saks and bought something completely, as it turns out, not appropriate for what I was there for, but it doesn't matter. And there's a red carpet before this event. And let me actually back up. As I'm flying to LA, and they got me a ticket out to LA, I was like, if you want me to come, you got to pay for my trip. They got me a ticket in economy.
The shame, the horror.
I guess the Hollywood Reporter is not doing so well. I'm sitting in economy, but the reason I'm saying this is I'm sitting in the middle seat in economy, and next to me is this very heavy guy. And so I'm sitting like this, like the entire 5-6 hour flight, I'm sitting like this. And somebody had given me an advance copy of Bombshell to watch, which nobody was supposed to have, and I was not supposed to have, but I got my hands on it. And this is the first time I'm watching this movie, which that night was going to premiere in LA, and they wanted us to do the red carpet. And we said, we're not doing the red carpet for Bombshell because we had nothing to do with this movie. We don't know how we're portrayed. We don't know anything, like not doing it, not participating in this movie. We can't, first of all, and second, like we're not going to give our stamp of approval to a movie that we have not seen or have anything to do with. So I'm watching this movie, and the internet's going in and out. I'm on this flight sitting like this in the middle row, and I see my character come on screen. And the first thing that my character does in this movie is she's in a bra and underwear, hopping on one leg with her breasts jiggling up and down, trying to get into what I think is a pair of full body Spanx to fit into a size 0 dress so that she can impress because that's what Roger Ailes demands. And this is me literally watching this on the plane. I'm like, I mean, think about the surreal nature of seeing a character who is supposed to be you completely, trying to fit into Spanx. And I have an NDA, so I can't say much, but I will say this. I was notorious at Fox News for refusing to wear Spanx. To me, and I would say no. And I have about 20 pairs of Spanx that Fox would give me that is still in my drawer, never used. If anybody wants some Spanx, I'm happy to give them to you, completely brand new, because I hate Spanx. I hate them. I can't, that's not violating my NDA to say that Julie Roginski, the real Julie Roginski, would never, ever, ever try to fit into full body Spanx, because first of all, the real Julie Roginski is a little on the thin side, so doesn't need them. But second, I also hate them. They're constricting. They're awful. I hate pantyhose. I hate Spanx. Just not my cup of tea. And I certainly would not do that to try to impress Roger. Like, it was just not that part. I can't say much, but I hate Spanx. So I'm watching all this and I'm like, what the fuck am I watching right now? And then I'm watching this portrayal of my friend Gretchen, and it's not a violation of my NDA to say, because I'm not Gretchen, this is not Gretchen Carlson. it's just not. I mean, that movie just did not portray her accurately at all. I mean, she is, this kind of portrayed her as this kind of, I don't even know, you could watch the movie for yourself and see the portrayal. It's just not her. So I'm watching this whole thing and I'm like, what the hell am I watching? And so we don't go to the premiere. The next day we go to the red carpet, and the red carpet's like at 10 a.m., which is a weird LA thing. I guess they do red carpets in the morning. And everybody is like, stand over here. Yeah, Reese Witherspoon, get a picture of the Reese Witherspoon, get a picture with this one, through Charlize Theron. And Charlize Theron sees us. And she sees Gretchen because she's obviously more recognizable than I am. And this is a woman who just produced this movie about Bombshell, which we couldn't cooperate with. And I think she just stayed away from us because I think she was afraid of what we were going to say about this movie, which we have yet to say anything about it all these years later because we can't. And that was a very strange kind of red carpet experience for me. Other than I saw Olivia Wilde in person, and she is stunningly gorgeous in ways that I just the screen does not do her justice. I was just like, oh my God, this woman is just insanely beautiful. But anyway, but it was a very weird. So that's in answer to the Met Gala red carpet. I thought the Hollywood Reporter red carpet was just a complete and utter torture thing for me. And if somebody wants to Google pictures of me, there are pictures of me from this thing, and I'm like smiling at this, and all I'm thinking is, this is just bullshit. Like, this is completely insane. And then, strangely enough, I run into a friend from high school at this thing who was at the time a big wig at Netflix. Like, she was huge at Netflix, and I hadn't seen her since high school, and I love her. She's fantastic. She and I were very good friends in high school, but we just kind of went our separate ways. So happy to see her. And I look at her and I go, how do you deal with this shit every day? She's like, I know. I'm like, how is it? Why? Like, how? And it was very strange, very, very odd. It was the height of the meeting. Go ahead.
Let me ask you about NDAs generically. I'll tell my quick little NDA story. So I was at Time Inc. when I came up with the idea for Entertainment Weekly. The managing editor's contract included a non-disparagement NDA clause. Oof. And as a journalist, I was young and foolish and naive, and I said, well, I can't sign that. I'm a journalist. Mm-hmm. And there's a whole story about the launch of Entertainment Weekly. It was a rough launch. When I left, I walked out in a huff. I quit. But, at that level, you can quit and be fired. You can come to an agreement, okay, that fire me and trigger the contract. Yeah. If I had signed the contract, I would have received 3 years salary, bonus, and benefits.
That's what they do.
I did not sign it, so I didn't receive that.
Yep. And
I insisted on being able to keep the launch documents for it. And nobody cared about the story of the launch of Entertainment Weekly. I wrote a book that's out now, audiobook recently called Magazine, a little tiny book, part of the series, that tells the story. And I say in there, I could do that because I had no NDA, I had no non-disparagement clause. And by the way, Time Inc., after I exposed the clause in the contracts, Time Inc. got rid of that clause.
Good.
It was fun there. So
not soon enough for you to get your 3-year severance, though, which is the part that sucks.
No, long since.
Yeah.
Fox was a major part of your life and your story. What happened was a major part of your life and your story, and you're closed off from your own story because of the NDA. How does that feel? Do you ever wish that you would sue and get rid of the NDA, or that someone else could tell the story? How does that operate in your own sense of yourself and your own autobiography?
Yeah, it's very strange. So had I known then what I know now, mm-hmm. I would never have signed that NDA, and I don't care about the money. Mm-hmm. It's first of all, the money was not that great to begin with, but even if the money were great, and Gretchen has said this publicly, neither of us would have signed that NDA. The way this was presented to us by our attorneys, and this is not their fault, this is just the way of the world, is, this is what you do. You sign an NDA as part of your settlement. Yep. And the part that I think people misunderstand is when you're going through something like this, you're in limbo until it's all resolved. Right?
Well, yeah. You can't do anything.
You can't do anything. You think about it 24/7. Fox is not thinking about it 24/7, but this is your entire life, right? This is all you think about wake up 3 a.m. ruminating about what went wrong and how did you end up in this situation and what the hell's going on and so on. And so, I signed this NDA, and I guess I did not realize how much Fox was going to be a major. I just, my whole point was I just want to get on with my life and go work. We talked about this.
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here. We'll go work at a different network, which was naive to believe. But, and that's it. Like, this is a period of my life and I'll be done. I did not realize, I was very naive. I did not realize when I filed my lawsuit that paparazzi would be chasing me down the street and I couldn't take my son to daycare because I didn't want him to end up, in the papers. Right. That if you Googled me, the first thing in my obituary would say, Julie Roginski, comma, who sued Roger Ailes for sexual harassment, comma. One of the reasons that we founded Lift Our Voices was because we wanted to make sure nobody else would ever have to go through something like that again. And so our whole goal is to ban NDAs and ban forced arbitration. So that people could just tell their story, right? But what's weird about me, because and certainly I don't want to speak for Gretchen, but she's a much more high profile person in the story because she went first and she's the one that brought him down and in fairness, I think launched this iteration of the Me Too movement well before Weinstein. I mean, she went at 16, Weinstein was about 15, 16 months later. What's weird about that is you can tell what you think my story is. Hollywood certainly can tell what they think my version of my story is. Anybody on earth, I mean, strangers on the street can talk about my story. I can't. Yeah. And I'm the only one that knows what happened, right? I mean, there were only 2 people in that room. One of them is dead, Roger Ailes, and one of them was me. And yet the only time I can speak is through my lawsuit filing. And even then, if somebody handed me my lawsuit and said, could you read from it? I couldn't. You can. I can't. Right?
Look, I'm asking this, I hope I can ask this generically, not about your NDA, but generic, because you're fighting NDAs. What is one's liability? Is it the amount of money you receive, or is it something greater than that?
It really depends on NDAs. It really depends on how it's structured. So I can't talk about mine, but hypothetically, every time that you disclose something that you shouldn't, you pay $1 million penalty. I'm making that number up, but it's not. For some people, it's not far off, right?
It could far exceed the money one receives.
Well, what's interesting is not just that. Let's say I talk to you. This is not about me. Let's say a person talks to you about what happened, and that's $1 million penalty. And then the New York Times reprints what we just said. That's another $1 million penalty. And then let's say the AP, better yet, let's say the AP reprints it. That's another $1 million penalty. And then let's say every newspaper that the AP gives this to prints it. Add all of that up. Pretty soon, you're not just bankrupt, you're in debtor's jail, basically. So, I mean, some of them are like that. Some of them are not. Some of them have a sunset clause and, you can't talk about it for 2 years, but then after that, you can, there's no financial penalty. It really depends. But if you look at, for instance, what Trump did with NDAs, he was just brutal in his campaigns as to what he did with NDAs. They were the most overly broad NDAs ever. The only person that ever competed with those overly broad NDAs is your former governor, Phil Murphy. Those are the 2 people that held women to NDAs about what happened on their campaigns that were so awful that they far exceed. So I just want to be clear. Say hello to my son. I just want to be clear. Say hello to my son again. He's laughing. That this is a bipartisan problem, and it's not just Roger Ailes or Donald Trump who's conservative. It's also people like Phil Murphy, your former governor, who's a self-professed liberal, though he is not. So there you go.
Wow. So, different topic, because I'm eau de combat and up in my little area here while I try to recover. And sleep is difficult because of pain management. Yeah. I'm trying to have a TV strategy here.
Oh, okay.
Things that I want to watch that I never watched because I got time, and things that I can go to sleep to because I don't care how they end. On the former, I never watched Mad Men.
Oh,
Never saw Mad Men.
Jeff.
So I'm up to season 3 now. That's
Oh,
how in Mad Men.
such a good show.
And but speaking of relationships with women and the culture and everything, it's just. I mean, I'm old enough that I was born in 1954. Um, I was raised in the 60s. That was my era as a child. I saw that in the culture. I saw that around me. I hope I didn't see that from my father. But my Lord, and I know it's amplified for the sake of the story. But my Lord, the relationship with women is
It's such a good show. That show to me is like reading a book. It unfolds slowly like a book. It's not a TV show. It's basically a book on screen to me. And John Hamm is brilliant. I mean, just brilliant in that movie, in that show. And just astonishingly good. I mean, that show to me is up there with The Sopranos in terms of just incredible television.
Yeah, I have to admit it. When I watched the very first episode when it came out, and I was no longer a TV critic, I shrugged. I thought it was a little obvious. I didn't, so I never got into it. I never watched it.
What show?
Mad Men.
Oh, Mad Men.
Mad Men. Yeah, yeah. I watched one episode and I said,
I know it's slow to unwrap. It's slow to unwind, but then when it unwinds, it's so good. And
I do the recommendations from the chat here. So I'm grabbing onto The Pit as soon as every episode is out. I think it's pretty amazing. Have you watched The Pit?
No, but I never liked ER. I don't like medical shows.
I generally don't either, but I think it is different and it's really, really good. Okay. And so I'm same thing. I watched the first episode. I said, but now I watch it. In fact, when I was in the hospital for a week, I made my little game asking the people I dealt with, are you asked all the time whether you watch The Pit?
And what did they say?
Some watched The Pit. Some didn't because it was too close to home.
Yeah.
One nurse said she'd worked ER rooms in Newark, and she was now working in a different clinic. And she said, it's an unhealthy relationship for me. It'll make her go back to working in ER rooms. It's addictive in it, which is fascinating. So I'm watching that. People are telling me to watch Industry. I haven't gotten into it yet. Do you have any recommendations?
Have you watched The Diplomat?
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
Love it. Yes.
Love it too. Carrie Russell's fantastic.
Oh, she's amazing.
He's amazing. And the guy who plays her husband, who's British, whose name I can't remember, is also amazing.
Yes.
We are doing a rewatch of The Americans. Have you ever watched The Americans?
Really good.
Okay, so we're going to do a rewatch of that if you want to join here at Mayday. One of these days, Michelle and I vowed that once we were done with this NJ11 race, this Malinowski race, that I would hunker down, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a rewatch of The Americans. If you want to join, everybody in the chat is laughing at me because we've been swearing to do this for 6 months, but we really are going to we are going to do this now. I'm trying to think what other. I'm sure you watched all the Game of Thrones, right?
No, actually, I didn't. I'm not kind of a fantasy guy. No,
I'm not a fantasy girl either. It's not about fantasy. I'm not a fantasy person either. I'm not a sci-fi person. I'm not into Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not like that at all. Game of Thrones is really good. And if you know your history, he based it very loosely on the War of the Roses, the British War of the Roses, and it's fantastic. So
maybe I could start that one up. Again,
Give it a
See,
shot.
having been a TV critic, I used to watch a hell of a lot of TV.
Okay.
And I was a TV critic in the days of the miniseries. My worst torture was having to watch, and I had an ethical rule that I would not fast forward a show I was reviewing, which was about as stupid as not signing the managing editor's contract and getting a 3 years salary. And the worst was the miniseries AD, 14 hours of complete torture to write a review that long. But I watched everything. So at some point when I stopped being a TV critic, I thought, well, I'll always watch TV. I'll always like TV. And TV's changed so much. I couldn't be a TV critic today. There's no singular television. There are just these little blips of some things that are better than others.
Well, I will say this. You were a TV critic during the heyday of like Dallas Dynasty, right?
Yep. Yep.
Did I tell you that? Did I tell you I learned English watching Dallas?
Yes.
I
That's why I'm surprised you don't
and
have a
I
Texas accent.
I'm telling you, I keep joking. I was the only girl in the first or second grade who could tell you about the oil barons ball. But about the cartel and how the cartel was screwing the independents. I'm not kidding. I think cartel was one of the first words I learned. The cartel. But I loved Dallas. I don't think I've ever loved anything the way I love Dallas. And I was like 7 years old when I started. My mom, the beauty of having European parents is there is no filter. They will let you watch whatever you want. They don't understand. They don't care. So I was watching Dallas from a very young age, and it was fantastic. I was like 7 years old when, whoever shot JR. People in the audience asked who shot JR. It's been 40 years. Could we tell people who shot JR?
I think so. I think you're safe now.
It was you, Kristen. It was you who shot JR. It was Sue Ellen's sister, Kristen. She was having an affair with JR. They filmed multiple actors doing that because they didn't want the actors to even know who shot JR.
Right.
So
as a young critic, what did you think of the shower? Nevermind.
Well, it's so iconic now, but that whole season sucked.
Yeah.
And it got, that's what it kind of started getting lame. So Dallas was really good, I would say, until they replaced Barbara Bel Geddes with Donna Reed for that prior season, I think. And then they did the whole shower scene, and then all the actors started to leave. Like Victoria Principal left, and anyway, it was not great. But the first, I would say, 7 years of Dallas were phenomenal, didn't you think? They were so good.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it's a genre.
Yeah, we don't have
genre. Created a genre, right? We don't really anymore. Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I wonder how well these things would survive today. I should go back and one of my favorite shows ever was Cheers. I thought it was the ideal sitcom. I loved Cheers.
I agree. So
right?
Good.
And I want to watch it, but then again, I don't want to watch it because I don't want to know whether it's.
I have watched it, Jeff.
Does it hold up?
No. It's very sad. Because I lived in Boston during the last few seasons of Cheers. I was in college there. And so I remember in 1994, during the very last Cheers, I was going to the airport and I was in a cab going past the Boston Common. And if you know Boston, the Bull and Finch, which is where Cheers is based on, is right at the Boston Common. And I was going on the other side of the Common in the public garden, but the entire place was filled with people. And you had the actors, I didn't see them obviously, but kind of like being all wasted, leaning out of the bar because they all came to Boston. But the end of that show was such a cultural phenomenon. And I just sobbed. Yes. I remember watching that last episode and just crying. And it does not stand the test of time. It just doesn't.
Oh, yeah. I was there that day for Good Morning America.
Wow. Okay.
I was TV critic standing upstairs, and we had the spot outside, and Al Roker had the spot inside. He yelled up and said hello.
Right.
It was a cultural moment, and I think it was the last. It was MASH, Cheers. A few of these were the last moments of that.
Seinfeld. I mean, it was the last episode.
Seinfeld, absolutely.
Seinfeld stands the test of time.
It does, except all of the plots that would be absolutely ruined by the mobile phone.
Yeah, but if you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I assume you have, right?
Yep.
When they did that season and when they do the alternate ending to Seinfeld, remember when they do the Seinfeld reunion, they kind of address all of that. And that was brilliant. I think that season of Curb Your Enthusiasm may be the best season of television ever because it was so smart. It was so smart. It was so good. But no, Friends doesn't stand that. I never was really into Friends. It was not my cup of tea, but I don't think that show stood the test of time.
So that's a case where I was a critic when Friends came out, and I thought it was a Cheers wannabe, and I said so, and I gave it a middling to meh review.
Right.
But then I watched it and kept watching it, and I liked it, and I wrote a skin back, and the producers, to their credit, sent me a letter saying, thanks for owning up here. I ended up liking Friends. My kids love Friends. They love
Yeah,
it. It's
yeah.
just,
My son somehow at a very inappropriate age, unbeknownst to me, watched Friends and he loved it too. I think I loved Cheers. I'm with you. I love Cheers. I love Seinfeld. Seinfeld was brilliant. I think Curb Your Enthusiasm is actually better than Seinfeld. I
oh
think,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
Um,
it's just so good. I mean, Larry David is so good. And the other show that I thought was incredible that in the first few seasons was 30 Rock. Did you watch 30?
yes,
Also,
yes.
very, if you watch it now, very relevant to the Bush era. Wouldn't really stand the test of time now because of its jokes, but the jokes are
Right.
still good. They're just antiquated because they're so, like there's a whole storyline about Alec Baldwin's character dating Condoleezza Rice and, things that now would not probably make sense to people if they started watching it from scratch. But
So here's the question about where culture stands in the issues of the day. I think we might have talked about this in one of our shows together. You can credit a lot of the progress toward gay marriage with television,
yeah, Will and Grace.
with Will and Grace and other characters as well. That people realized that they knew gay people
Yeah.
and having been forced into the closet, had the courage to come out of the closet. Obviously, All in the Family and race and bigotry. Television had a big role in the culture, in changing culture then. Um, it's just not the case anymore. As we talked about on the show Friday, the Golden Globes had no mention of the current crises in this country. The Grammys did. UFC had the crowd screaming to fuck ICE.
Yeah.
But Hollywood is not taking a role that I can see at all in progressing our norms. Quite the contrary, they're chickening out.
Well, look who owns stuff now, right? So let's look at the example of Brett Ratner. Brett Ratner had a development deal with Warner Brothers. Then in 2017, the Me Too movement happened. All of these women came forward and alleged awful things that he did about them. He was basically expelled from Hollywood, completely kicked to the curb. He ends up emigrating to Israel and becoming close to Netanyahu, speaks to Trump about him. Trump not only taps him on the shoulder to direct the Melania doc, but also calls Larry Ellison over at Paramount and says, I want Rush Hour 4 made. And he was this director for all the Rush Hour movies. And he instructed Larry Ellison, allegedly, to start Rush Hour 4 so Brett Ratner could have a comeback in Hollywood. Hollywood right now is controlled by people who own their allegiance to Trump, right? Amazon Studios just paid $40 million more. I mean, $40 million just for the rights to Melania's
35 for promotion.
Yeah, 30. So we're talking about over 70 million. They now own MGM. So Hollywood is owned by people whose priority is to curry favor with Donald Trump, right? Whether it's the Ellisons or it's Bezos or whoever else. Netflix is still hanging on, but who knows for how long. So I get why Hollywood is terrified to cross this guy. And therefore, I get why Hollywood is afraid to make shows that are going to poke him in the eye. I mean, my God, if we had a show right now that was really popular about an undocumented family, like Roseanne was, about working class white people.
Yep.
And about the stresses that working class white people faced with Roseanne, if we had the stresses of what undocumented migrants face on a daily basis, even if it's a comedy, that was as popular. I mean, think about how much that would just change the trajectory of what's going on. But nobody's going to make that now. They're terrified. They're terrified. And they're terrified because the money is controlled by people who are bending the knee to Trump every single day. And that brings me back to what we always talk about, which is how culture, it used to be that politics is downstream of culture. And now it seems that culture is downstream of politics.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously there's the weaponization of culture around wokeness and DEI and such, so that any effort to do something that seems at all human, that is to say progressive, is attacked.
Yeah. I mean, it's true that the only show that has courage right now is South Park.
Yeah.
And those guys got $1 billion. So their attitude is, take our show off
Fight
air.
a virus.
To fire us, don't fire us, you're $1 billion out, and the billion is still, that's not a rounding error, right? That's a lot of money.
Right.
So
Right.
they were smart to get their money first and then do what they wanted to do. But the truth of the matter is, aside from South Park, I don't know that anybody's got that kind of power. I don't even know the Cosby Show would be made right now about a successful upper middle class Black family with a doctor father and a lawyer mother, right? Like the Cosby Show revolutionized how white America saw Black people. It wasn't just about Sanford and Son, where they were working out of a garage, or about the Jeffersons, where they were, somehow these Black people who moved on up to, live on the East Side with these white people. It was also about, it was just about a really successful, educated couple who dealt with child issues the same way everybody else did, except they happened to be Black. I think now that would be considered woke, and studios would be in trouble for it. And I'm not sure it'd be made right now.
Well, also, so here's my little brush with a celebrity story about Cosby. When the show came out, I loved it. It was amazing. It actually, this is kind of weird, but it helped comfort my path to parenthood. It made parenting look kind of fun.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure whether I wanted to be a parent, and I is one. But as time passed on, I think we all might agree, Cosby became preachy and self-important. And I said so in my columns. And Cosby was enraged, absolutely enraged. And he would come after me. He would send me faxes. He sent me and letters. He sent me I said that Cosby's time was over, and he sent me a tin cup. Where are the flowers for my funeral? Weird shit. Right? These are letters I now have framed. My attack letters from Bill Cosby. I take that as a matter of cost. So when I started Entertainment Weekly, we had to make prototype covers that were used in junk mail to see how well it would sell.
Right.
And one of the covers that was never printed had Murphy Brown and Roseanne Barr on it. And the cover billing that I did was "Kiss Cosby Goodbye," and something about he's over and now it's the time for these sassy women or something.
Right.
And it only went out in junk mail. He managed to get a hold of the junk mail and went to a production house to have them remake the cover at some expense and change the cover billing. This is before Photoshop, folks, to say "Kiss Jarvis Goodbye." Vindictive little shit that he was. And so I'm honored that he hates me. I couldn't have a better enemy.
Yeah, I mean, please, that is, I would have that framed right wherever you have that picture of the Brooklyn Bridge behind you. Frame that.
Absolutely. But so it's a weird relationship. Is that I still will, as you just did, I will still praise the beginnings of Cosby for the quality of what it is and the impact it had.
Yeah, for sure.
But then it went boom south, and he proved himself to be a obnoxious shit.
Well, he proved himself
and worse.
Much worse than that. I mean,
yes,
he's lucky as hell that Court of Law got him out of prison, because he's, and I feel bad for the kids in the Cosby Show, because they were obviously torn between a man who was a father figure to them and having to do, and the same thing goes for what's her name, who's his wife, but Lisa Bonet, remember he got her fired because she got pregnant or she got married or something. It's interesting. So it's fascinating. I guess I never thought about the fact that as a critic, you had so much power that these mega celebrities would be obsessed and hanging on your every word as to what you said about them.
No, they couldn't. It's Trump-like. They couldn't stand anyone criticizing them.
Yeah.
They didn't have any. I had no power. I didn't change shows.
Well, you have the power for people to not watch the show, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, Alan Thicke. I made Alan Thicke jokes. He sent me a letter saying, "Stop making me your whipping boy." David Letterman sent me a thank you note. It's always fun, but that's seductive too. When I started EW, I said that I didn't allow the critics to meet the stars or to do stories about them, because you're a critic. You're separate from that.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, it was interesting. Now, the other my other great, I'm being very egotistical right now, and I'll do one more celebrity moment. I love Murphy Brown. Murphy Brown was a great show.
Great show.
But they decided to use me in one episode where the network vice president said they used my name and said that Jeff Jarvis, he's a bottomless pit of hate. So somewhere on tape is that moment of me being a bottomless pit of hate, which I also treasure.
You got to find it.
Yeah, I do.
You gotta find it. That's great. That could just be your Kyra underneath everything. Yeah. You be on your gravestone, right? Here lies Jeff Jarvis, a
bottomless pit of hate. Finally in the pit. Yes. In the pit. So are you watching are you going to watch the Winter Olympics?
I did not even know they were on yesterday. So I'm so happy I always talk about him, but my little cousin from France is here. And he came last night and we were having dinner and all of a sudden the Olympics came up. I was like, did that start today? So I guess we could watch it. The Super Bowl's tomorrow. I know I'm going to be forced to watch that. Are you a football guy?
No, I'm not until the very end of the season. Generally, the line is I watch the Super Bowl for the commercials.
Yeah.
Though I just started there. I think the Journal put up all the commercials, and they were pretty good. I've watched about a dozen of them.
Did you see Robert Kraft's anti-Semitism commercial?
No.
So he's running a commercial for his anti-Semitism thing that I think the intent behind it is good, but it like completely is divorced from how anti-Semitism is portrayed right now. And it's interesting. Watch for it and let me know what you think next week, because I'm actually curious to hear. I'm not going to tell you more about it. Just watch it and tell me about it. I think it's a interesting discussion to have after you watch it.
Well, which extends on our conversation yesterday about NJ11 and AIPAC.
Yep.
There's a great book to be done about the shift in attitudes toward Israel and around anti-Semitism and what's real anti-Semitism and what's used as anti-Semitism. And the topic is Lord, it's rich.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I watch it for the commercials, but now I've kind of gotten into football a little bit and I don't know who to root for because I love Massachusetts. I went to college there. I had a house in the Berkshires for a very long time. It is my happy place, not Boston so much, but the Berkshires. Like love, love, love Massachusetts.
Julie, even I know this. If you have any ties to New Jersey, you have to hate the Pats.
Well, I'm required. No, because that's the Jets. But I'm a Giants. Well, I'm not anything. But
it's still Jersey. I don't care. It's still you're supposed to hate the Pats.
I know. But I also don't like Bob Kraft because I think he's a big Trump supporter.
There's that.
So I think you got to root for Seattle, right?
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yep. I like these where I don't have to know anything at all,
other than politics. To know who to hate.
Right, to choose who to hate, and to root for.
Yeah, I think Kraft. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's got to be. And I don't like Tom Brady, even though I know he's not with the Pats anymore. But you got to root for Seattle. Although I think my son's rooting for the Pats, so we'll see. But Robert Kraft, with his little weird prostitution scandal and then his whole Trump sucking up thing, and don't like it.
Right. No.
But I'm happy to hear the commercials are good. Are there any celebrity commercials?
Clooney, who's everywhere. I can't remember what else I want. They're just the Bud Light has a very good one of an entire, not to do a spoiler here, but an entire wedding party chasing down a hill to get an errant keg of Bud Light.
No,
it's a very good.
No Bud Light,
but
there's no Clydesdales this year for Bud Light.
Not in that commercial. I'll see if there's some others. I didn't watch them all. I'm going to sit down and watch them all because I'm sitting up here bored and I'll watch commercials now. But I didn't see anyone that said, "Oh, that's brilliant. That's great. I gotta see that." No.
Well, we've been at this for an hour and 15, and I'm so grateful to you for jumping in.
I'm so grateful to be part of the family. Thank you.
Of course, you are standing invite any Saturday. It was wonderful hearing about I love the Cosby story. Love. I love the bottomless pit of hate, which is now what you're going to be known as here.
Yes.
Going to be your introduction.
I hope that Michelle, I hope you're out there. I hope you're feeling better and that your construction isn't driving you crazy.
Poor Michelle's had a rough couple. Michelle and I both have had a rough 24 hours. Her with her construction and her not feeling well, and me with.
So, are you headed to Fordham and the police station?
I am headed to the precinct in the Bronx to go get my phone. Pray for me. I don't know that where it is, but I will find it. And hopefully my phone is intact. And I will have it
Good
back.
luck.
Thank you.
And all the credit cards are already.
Yeah, I mean, that's it doesn't matter. I mean, to be honest, I like, God bless. I don't know. They can. I'll be credit cardless for a few days until the new ones arrive, which sucks, but it is what it is. And other than that, I think we're in good shape. So have a great rest of the weekend. Feel better. Have a good time at the Super Bowl, everybody. Whatever you watch, whoever you root for.
And if you like curling, enjoy it.
Is that what's happening at the Olympics right now?
It was this morning. Yeah, I cannot figure it out to save my soul.
Oh, I know that Michelle was very excited about watching the figure skaters. She's very into skating.
Yeah.
Not my the Olympics, just not my cup of tea. Just don't.
Not mine either. Not mine. But this morning at 4 o'clock when I woke up, because I'm waking up right now at that time, it was not. Suddenly I was watching women. I didn't know this existed. I think they call it freestyle. They come down and then there's poles and they have to ski on top of the pole as if they were like skateboarders, and then get off the pole and then go through jumps and go on a pole.
What?
The things they do to invent new sports are amazing to me. So yeah, I was thinking, do I have a fever this morning? It's really weird to watch. And then along came the downhill speeds, which were absolutely frightening, going 90 miles an hour. So that was kind of interesting to watch, but I'm not going to watch.
That's me when I go skiing because I can't stop. I don't know how to stop. So the problem is I just go straight down at like 1 billion miles an hour and then almost kill myself, which is why I never ski anymore. I'm a horrible, 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 horrible skier and I'm terrified of it. But that's what even watching that makes me anxious. I don't know why. Okay. On that note, have a great day, everybody. Jeff feels so much better and we'll see everybody on Monday. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Michelle. Feel better.